083. All right, we convened for a preliminary hearing. I reviewed this file and the petition requesting removal yesterday and signed a removal order. So I determined at that point that there was enough to authorize the petition, and today is the date time set for the prelim to go over the petition with the parents and see what their positions are and to get some important questions answered. May I have the names of our participants, beginning with the guardian ad litem?
Good morning, Your Honor. Ariel Berger here as the guardian ad litem. Brittany Kelly for the department.
Michael McFarland representing mother, who is joining us by Zoom.
And I'm Lee Heiss. I'm representing Kate Matthews today.
Okay, it looks like we lost your client somewhere in the mix, Mr. McFarland.
We made a switch.
Well, I know a request was put in for her to be here personally, but I told her I Zoomed with her earlier today this morning.
Yes, she should still be in the.
Still be there. Yes.
So that's
I
unfortunate.
instructed her that we would be doing this by Zoom.
Yes. I'm not sure why the jail isn't still logged in. We could, well, I'll send a message to my assistant and ask him to call over. Ms. Thomas, can you hear us? Do you want to put your appearance on? Ms. Nastasia Thomas, can you hear us? No, we didn't give you a heads up. We were scheduled this morning for 8:15 to start. The jail logged in at 8:30 so that Mr. McFarland could talk with his client. So we are running a bit behind schedule. I blame her for not staring at her computer for an hour. There she is. Good morning.
Good morning. Is my audio okay? For some reason, Zoom is not loading very well for me.
It's a little muffled. So if you can switch that, because I know sometimes you can switch it, it sounds a little better. All right, I think the jail logged out. We had mom here earlier, but she's not here now. We're gonna hopefully be able to see her reconvene. We chatted with Mr. McFarland to see if he got any questions answered. And then of course, discuss the case as it relates to Kate Matthews as well. So let's go ahead with that piece for now. That's her. All right, we don't have her yet, but jail's back, which is good progress. All right, Mr. McFarland, you're very familiar with
Yes, I am, Your Honor. I spoke to my client. She acknowledged she did receive the petition. She does not need to have it read today. She is currently in jail on an outstanding warrant for violation of probation. At this point in time, she wishes to plead no contest. There's an allegation of breastfeeding while under the influence of meth, which is criminal child neglect, Your Honor. And that is the reason. Here she is. I can begin again. I did speak to my client today. She is in jail currently on a violation of probation, the drug paraphernalia charge, I believe. I did go over the petition with her. She does not need it read. She was served the petition. She does not know when she is going to be released from jail. She has no Indian ancestry, no Indian blood, no Indian heritage. I asked her in those manners. At this point in time, and she wishes to plead no contest because of the allegation of breastfeeding a child under the influence of meth, which could be prosecuted as criminal child endangerment, Your Honor. She wishes to enter into a case service plan. I have advised her rights of a trial by judge or jury, what the burden of proof is. I think that's all.
Very thorough. Thank you very much. All right, Deputy Ames, if you could swear in Ms. Kayla Walden.
If I might, placement. She would like the child to be placed with her father, who is currently in court with Lucky. I've been advised that there may be a little snafu in that. I'm sure Ms. Thomas will advise us of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, can you raise your right hand, please?
Ms. Kayla Walden, please raise your right hand.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, good morning, Ms. Walden. Were you able to hear everything your attorney, Mr. McFarland, placed on record?
Yes, I was.
And do you agree with his presentation on your behalf?
Yes, I agree.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Do you happen to know where Mr. Caden Matthews is?
No, I do not.
Do you have any reason to believe that he or anybody in his family would be eligible for membership in a Native American tribe or band?
No.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, on the position requesting the opportunity for no contest plea, your position, Ms. Thomas?
I believe that's acceptable.
Ms. Heiss, do you have any position?
No position, thank you.
Ms. Berger?
I have no problem with that.
All right. Okay, well, before we go into your plea, Ms. Walden, we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening with Mr. Matthews, and I'll go to Ms. Thomas for any updates or presentation on that.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Kelly can please be sworn in. She will be able to testify to the efforts she has made.
Come on up to our witness stand. Thank you.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, proceed well.
Ms. Kelly, how are you involved in this matter?
I'm a CPS investigator.
And as the investigator, who is identified as the child's parents?
Kayla Walden is identified as the biological mother, and Caden Matthews is identified as the putative father.
And have you had any contact with Mr. Matthews?
I have, very limited.
Can you just give us a rundown of all of the efforts you made to contact him, and then what happened when you were finally able to contact him, what the outcome was?
So after the removal last night, I did go see Kayla in jail around 10 p.m. I asked Kayla, if she had any contact information or information about where he could be located. She said she did not. Around midnight, I did locate. He had applied for assistance to the state at the end of March, just a few months ago. So I located a phone number and an address. The address was not in our county, but I did call and text the phone number. I Facebook messaged him multiple times around that midnight point last night. He did respond to a text message I sent him just after midnight. I had said, there's a court hearing regarding your child tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. Please contact me so we can talk about this. He replied with an email address. His name is spelled Katon, but in the email it was Katin. After he sent me that, I did ask for him to still call me so I could just verify some date of birth, identification for me to send the court order to the correct person. He said he would call me when he was done driving. He did not call me. He texted me again last night in the middle of the night saying that he'd call me this morning. I called him twice this morning and texted him. He didn't respond. So I did send him the court order and the petition to the email that he provided me last night. It was delivered to the email. It had not been opened when I had left my computer this morning. But I did text him after I emailed it and stated that he should have it in his inbox. I did not receive a reply though.
It happened to
Oh,
sorry about
that's
what's happening today. Did you happen to text him with Zoom information for today's hearing?
It was on the court order that I emailed him, but I did not text the Zoom information to him now.
Okay. And do you have any reason to believe that there might be a different biological father to this child?
Kayla didn't identify anybody else. She did say that he's the father. She said he hasn't been involved, but she did name him as the father to Lucky.
Okay, thank you. As it relates to Mr. Matthews, I don't have any further questions for Ms.
okay. That was a little garbled. Did you say as it relates to Mr. Matthews, you don't have any further questions?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Heiss?
Yes, this child was born like in Mississippi or something, wasn't she?
Correct. Mom reported in Tupelo, Mississippi.
And so, do you know if Mr. Matthews has ever been down there to have had access at conception?
I don't know. I have very limited information about the birth of this child.
Okay, and so, you have not personally handed him a copy of the, petition?
Correct.
Thank you, I have nothing further.
Mr. McFarland?
You're not the one who deals with the placement at this time, or are you?
I think I have, input, yes.
Okay.
My brain is working.
I realized
slow
it was
today.
late last night. Right now, the child is with my client's father and his girlfriend live together partner, correct?
Correct.
Is that wife or
They're engaged,
Okay.
so live together.
fiance?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that, my client would like the child there, is that an acceptable placement in your opinion?
In my opinion, yes.
Is there a little snafu, I'm told?
Yes, so last night, as I was actually transporting the child, our intake ran the criminal history checks. And there was a misdemeanor assault charge from like 15 years ago. I don't have the exact date. We don't have the documents from our intake yet, but
On whom?
on Chantel, on Dad's living together partner. I spoke with her about the charge last night. She hasn't had any criminal history like that since, but it does violate, like on our 5770, it talks about the good moral character. So it violates that. But I think that she did complete like domestic violence classes for it. She completed probation and she hasn't had a charge like that in a very long time.
Are you aware that a lot of these old cases are automatically expungable, and have you checked to see if she actually if it has been expunged due to the length of time? Have you checked into that?
I didn't have time to,
Sure.
but it's definitely something that and I did speak to her last night about expungement in that process. But I support the placement still regardless.
Okay.
Hang on 1 second. Okay, we've had someone from a Samsung device join us. Could you give us your name, please? Good morning. Could you give us your name, please? Christopher Mayhew. Okay. All right. I don't think you're on the case that we're on right now, so we'll pop you back into the waiting room.
Yep.
What are you here on?
Jewel Mayhew's show cause hearing.
Oh, that didn't go. You'll have to contact the front of the court.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry about that. I just want to make sure that wasn't our putative father. Go ahead.
So I guess lastly, placement will be at my client's father's residence. Is that?
I believe so, as long as like Judge Salas supports it. They are a relative placement. I don't have right now at this time any other relatives. I have one other relative that we could look into, but she is significantly older than the placement right now. And we're talking about a 1-year-old for placement, so very busybody. I don't know if she would have the just energy to handle a child of this age, but it is the putative father's mom. And I would recommend placement with bio mom's dad and over a putative dad's mom.
You are not going to be the ongoing worker, correct?
Correct. This will move to foster care.
Do you know who that will be?
Yep, Eva Copus, and she's in the courtroom right now.
Ms. Copus will be visiting with my client. Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, what is the name? Do you need a direct placement? Is that what you're saying? You need a direct placement?
So our intake they said that they would deny placement, but it was up to local office to decide that. I did send an email late last night to our program manager and my supervisor regarding placement. I didn't get any responses into that before court this morning, so if we could have direct placement, I think that would be best case scenario.
Do you have this name, this spelling?
For placement, it's Nathan Walden, Nathan Walden, Walden.
Is that you, sir? Was that spelling correct? Okay, thank you so much.
mind to hear anyway.
That's right. Okay, thank you. Did you have any questions? I know you stopped short of placement questions, Ms. Thomas. Did you want to follow up on that now?
No, I think what I would like to ask for, Judge, I am communicating with the supervisor on this matter, and so I'm just trying to make sure that we have whatever we need to give you regarding placement. But I know that there is also a concern about permitting placement to travel to Ohio with a child, and I believe that we would offer like a blanket order permitting that. Not to say mom would not be agreeable, but just in case she's unable to be reached for any reason. It sounds like maybe there's other children in the home who are engaged in sports and travel to the Toledo area maybe, or have games in Ohio.
Your Honor, I don't know if it's just Ohio. I just know they travel out of state. So I don't know exactly if it's like Ohio, Indiana. I don't know. I don't think they're traveling to Texas, but I wasn't able to ask what states they go to.
Okay. Ms. Berger, did you have any questions?
They were all related to, so I'm good at this time now, thank you.
All right, Ms. Kelly, did you explore safety plans or any lesser restrictive measures other than removal for the family?
Not during this investigation due to the timing of the complaint that came in. We've had previous investigations. We've had 4 in the last couple months that we have not been able to contact, verify the well-being of the child. There were concerns just of the whereabouts of the parents, and we felt it was there was possible immediate harm to the child where she was at the time.
And where did you find her?
With maternal grandmother in Clinton, Michigan.
And what was the, I'm sorry, I thought you said it already, but what were the concerns with that arrangement?
There have been allegations in the past that the maternal grandma was also using methamphetamines. When I spoke to maternal grandma yesterday, I asked her if she was aware that we had been looking for Kayla and the child for months now. And she said she was aware and she knew where Kayla was at those times. And I asked why she hadn't called one of us or texted us to let us know where she was. And I mean, it's her biological daughter, so I understand protecting her own child, but she just said she didn't call us.
Did you observe any concerns when you were speaking with her?
I did drug screen her. When I spoke to law enforcement that morning, they had concerns about just her her behaviors, and she seemed like she was talking very fast. She seemed okay when I was there. She was very cooperative with me. She was very aware of why I was there. She helped me load the child's things into the car. But like I said, very cooperative. She was honest with me about things and before I left with the child.
Did she admit to you or talk at all about any kind of drug problems that she might have had?
I asked her if she was using, she said no. When I asked her to drug screen for me, she said, why? I said, well, if you were ever considered for placement, I would want to make sure that you're sober and that we could have a drug screen to back that up. She then agreed, but she did not admit to any use.
You have the drug screen results back?
I do not. They will be sent out this morning and hopefully they'll be back by Friday.
Are there any other concerns?
But maternal grandma's homeless. So the home she was living in is like a family friend. She said that the house that she was living in, that has her permanent mailing address and that she lives currently besides the house she was visiting yesterday. Law enforcement had concerns about methamphetamine use in that house too with those people.
Where she was staying yesterday?
Not yesterday, but where her permanent, I guess, address would be with her friends that she stays with.
Thank you. Questions based on my questions, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Heiss?
Yes, this maternal grandmother of Lucky, is someone who has CPS history and domestic violence history with her own sister, is that right?
I'm unsure about the domestic violence, but, yes, correct to the CPS history.
Attached to your petition is some history about, this person is, recent as 2016. Having been on probation for 3 DUIs.
Correct.
And she was accused in 2016 of taking a cast off a child, and then when he was ill, he was taken to the hospital and she discharged him against medical advice, is that right?
That's in the history.
I'm sorry for the interruption, but was that a substantiated allegation?
I can't tell these records that are attached exactly what these are.
Ms. Kelly, do you know?
If I can grab my packet.
Deputy, would you mind, guys, make sure, can you judge for her, refreshing a recollection on that piece?
No.
Objection.
Is this what you need?
Yeah, please.
Sorry for the interruption.
I will report that one was rejected and move on to some of the ones that were accepted and assigned, if you would allow me.
Can I ask what page she's on? Okay.
Six from the back. If you have what I have. Gonna move on to something that was accepted and assigned for investigation, but did not result in removal.
Ms. Kelly, does that indicate that it was substantiated, or how would we know?
So it says the intake ID and then it says the date it was logged and then the name of the person who the investigation was on. So an accept and assign for field investigation means we investigated it. And then the category would, we substantiated on a category 3, I think for the one you're talking about in 2017.
That's the next one I'm gonna talk about, yes.
Yeah, so if it says category 3, that means it was just a category 3 and that it was either opened or opened and closed for services.
So substantiated.
Correct.
So in 2017, there was some issues with Kimberly and her sister arguing in front of a child that was at least opened and open for services and closed or substantiated.
It was, yeah, substantiated.
And then in 2017, there was something with her, again, with improper supervision that was category 3, accepted and assigned.
Yeah, it looks like those were back-to-back cases. They're on the same date. Just 2 different intakes were called in regarding.
So on the next page, we have a 2018 that was accepted in an investigation. Let me see if this involves, that one doesn't involve Kimberly. We're talking about Kimberly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So all of that was before this child that we're talking about today was born.
Correct.
And then you've got the investigations that you referred to earlier. If a category 5, can we assume it was opened or substantiated?
No, a category 5 means that we were either unable to locate or there was no evidence of any abuse or neglect. But in the case for Kayla, all of her category 5s were unable to locate.
But you did have a report from somebody in the community who reported that Kimberly and her boyfriend were,
Kayla, you mean?
no, Kimberly and her unknown lived together partner were living in a home where methamphetamine was manufactured. That was reported to the agency, though it was a category 5 and couldn't find the mom. Is that true?
Are you referring to Kimberly or Kayla?
Kimberly.
I don't know if we have any cases with Kimberly that was an allegation.
Okay. February 3rd of 2024, that it's alleged, it's just a report from a community member, but, and then in April 22 of 2024, a community member reported to the agency that Kimberly was observed with meth needles and that she was observed shooting the meth, was not observed shooting the meth, but was observed under the influence by this community member.
What was the date on that?
April 22nd of 2024.
Any idea what page that would be?
It's 3 from the back. I'm sorry, 4 from the back, if that helps.
Can I ask what the top of the page starts with?
Yes, intake ID, a long number, and February 27th.
That's a category 5 case. What does that mean?
So there's multiple category 5 cases for Kayla that we were unable to locate her in all of those. So category 5 could be unable to locate, like residing out of state. So if we make contact with a family and they live out of state, we would category 5. Or it means that there was like absolutely no evidence found of any type of abuse or neglect.
And you can't tell from this which of those, why it's a category 5.
No, but I know from reviewing Kayla's history and being familiar with this case that they were because Lenawee County and Washtenaw County could not find her during those investigations.
So you were getting these complaints or Washtenaw wise, and you couldn't find these people to investigate them?
Correct.
Thank you, that helps me.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
Mr. McFarland, any questions?
No.
Ms. Barker?
Nothing further.
Okay. All right, I don't think we can let her go yet because we have a no contest plea on the horizon, but anything else before we go into that, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
All right, my inclination here, Ms. Heisen, you tell me what you think, would be to set a putative father hearing for Mr. Kate Matthews and let Ms. Kelly continue trying to get him served with the petition as well as the notice of putative father hearing.
Yes, Your Honor. The only addition to that would be to offer him a DNA test if he's interested so that we can have him in services and consider for placement sooner than later.
Okay, any objections, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor, I would also request that as well.
Any comments, Mr. McFarland?
No position, although I do want to question my client with the limited scope of the parentage issue.
Okay, Ms. Berger? Okay, all right, so that's what we'll do as far as Kate Matthews moving forward. And that would conclude our hearing as far as what's related to Mr. Matthews today. Ms. Heiss, you're welcome to stay for the remainder, or if you'd like to be excused, now would be your opportunity to ask.
Your Honor, I'd like to be excused, but I'll probably stay so that I'm familiar with the case as well. But if my next case needs me, I could leave for that.
All right, very good.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, do you want to ask your client some questions before?
Just two questions, Your Honor, limited in scope to parentage and the out-of-state issue.
I'm gonna have your patience for a few minutes.
Is she this morning? Thank you. Have just a couple questions for you, okay? Can you hear me okay?
She has to unmute on her end.
You have to unmute on your end.
Thanks, we get a lot of feedback from the jail, so you're gonna spend some time on mute in between your opportunity to speak.
Oh,
You got it.
thank you. Good morning. How would you like me to address you?
Miss Walden,
Ms. Walden, you heard, first of all, everything I told the court about going over your rights, about your desire to do no contest plea, etc. Is that accurate?
yes,
Is there a possibility, even if remote, that anybody else could possibly be the father of this child?
No,
Okay. Apparently your father is requesting permission to take your child, and we're not gonna use the child's name, but L, out of state, as I guess some other kids have events in the Toledo area. Do you have any problem with the court allowing him to go out of state with the child to Ohio?
no, I don't have a problem with that at all.
Thank you. You're not under the influence of any drugs or substances, correct, today?
Correct.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Walden, do you know, are there any other cases that would concern your child, like custody, child support, guardianship, or anything else that would be out there?
No,
All right.
Let me just repeat the ICWA since that arises down the road. You and I chatted regarding possible Indian heritage. There's no Indian blood, no Native American heritage, as far as you're aware of on your side of the family, correct?
correct.
Do you know anything about the possible father, if he might have any Indian heritage?
I don't know. I don't think so.
He's never said anything about that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, he's never said anything.
Okay, nothing further.
All right, Ms. Walden, at this time, I'm gonna go through your rights with you to make sure you understand what's happening here today, and potentially receive your plea. All right, so the no contest plea, just so you're aware, means essentially I would take the allegations in the petition and consider them accurate, and then decide if there's been a violation of the statute. Do you understand that?
I understand.
All right, if I accept your no contest plea, you're giving up your right to a trial by judge or trial by jury. The right to have the petitioner prove the allegations in the petition by a preponderance of the evidence. The right to have the witnesses against the respondent appear and testify under oath at trial. The right to cross-examine witnesses, and the right to have the court subpoena any witnesses that you believe could give testimony in your favor. You have a right to an attorney for every hearing, including this one, which is why Mr. McFarland is here. And that attorney would, of course, assist you with all of those trial procedures as well. Do you understand you'll be giving up or waiving the trial rights I've just indicated to you if you enter a no contest plea?
I understand.
All right. With regard to the consequences of your plea, or in other words, what will happen, the court will do the following. There will be continued investigation by the caseworker to see what the problems are in your family and how and whether they can be solved. The court could dismiss the case if there's no need for the court to be involved. If it appears that there's a problem that may be solved, the court can make the child a temporary ward of the court, place with mother, father, relatives, or foster care home, and order programs for you and your child, such as counseling, drug and alcohol treatment, assessments, and parenting classes. If it appears that you will not be able to provide a proper home for the child in the reasonably foreseeable future, the court could terminate your parental rights. Excuse me. In regard to the plea itself, the plea can also later be used as evidence in a proceeding to terminate your parental rights. Do you understand the potential consequences of your plea, Ms. Walden?
I understand.
Do you have any questions about any of the information I've given you so far?
No.
All right, when were you arrested?
Yesterday morning.
All right, are you currently under the influence of drugs, alcohol, or anything else that could get in the way of you understanding what you're doing here this morning?
I understand.
I know, but are you under the influence of anything, of drugs, alcohol, or anything else that could get in the way of you understanding what you're doing?
No, I'm not. I understand what I'm doing.
Thank you. Is anyone making you enter a no contest plea?
No,
Does anyone threaten you in order to get you to enter a no contest plea today?
no,
Has anybody promised you anything in order to get you to enter a no contest plea?
no,
Would you say your decision to enter your no contest plea is one you've made of your own free will?
yes,
Thank you. All right, as it relates to the factual basis of the plea, Ms. Thomas?
Yeah, yes, Your Honor, I will ask Ms. Kelly a few questions about that.
She is ready for it. You remain under oath, Ms. Kelly.
Okay. Ms. Kelly, I know that we've had a lot of testimony from you already. During your you are the one who signed this petition, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And didn't have a station, is that fair to say?
Oh, you're gonna have to repeat that. Maybe try and slow down a little bit. It's cutting in and out.
Ms. Kelly, about how long did you have to investigate this case before you filed a petition?
45 minutes.
And in that time, what did you learn about with this case?
I received a call from law enforcement stating that Kayla had been arrested for, I believe, a domestic between her and her mother. The child was in the arms of, I believe, Kayla when this domestic occurred. Kayla was then arrested and taken to Lenawee County Jail. And then law enforcement had stated that they were still at the house with the maternal grandma with the child. Law enforcement had concerns that this child would not be able to be found again if we did not file a petition. Law enforcement knew that we had been searching for this family for quite some time with no luck. And I knew that mom had warrants for her arrest for some criminal activity. We had not been able to verify this child's well-being in the last several months that we had investigations. There have always been concerns in the allegations of substance use. I did, after completing the petition and receiving the order, I did have a chance to go speak with Kayla, which I did. I received more information regarding the allegations. Do you want me to touch on that?
Yes, which I was going to ask you about next, if you were able to confirm any of the allegations after the petition, giving the timing of everything.
I had asked Kayla if she would drug screen for me. She did agree to drug screen. Like I said, those results will not be back until probably Friday at the earliest. I asked her if she would test positive for anything. She said possibly marijuana and possibly methamphetamines. While I was speaking to her, I asked her when she was using these substances, where was the child? And her response was, I guess she was with me. She didn't explain that at all. I do believe the child has been in her care throughout the last few months while she's been in Michigan. I think that maternal grandma has helped, but I think for the majority of it, she was with Kayla. Kayla's not employed right now. She is living with a family friend that her mom was also living with in Tecumseh. She did say that she had warrants for criminal activity, and she said that she was on probation. She said that one of her warrants she believes was for not reporting to probation. I asked her who her probation officer was, and she does not know the name of her probation officer. I asked her about the birth of the child. She said that she gave birth in the car while driving to a hospital, but there is a birth record in, I think she said Tupelo, Mississippi. So she does believe that this child has a social security number. I told her there were concerns that there wasn't a birth record or a social security number, but she said she does believe there is some documentation for that. We talked about mental health. She said that she does think that services for mental health would be good. She's not diagnosed with anything right now, but she believes she may have ADHD. She said that she thinks that if she was on a prescribed medication for ADHD, she would not have to use recreational drugs. When I spoke to her about the domestic yesterday morning when she got arrested, she said that she had thought she got arrested for assaulting a police officer. She did make statements to me that she and her mom should be able to fight whenever they want. She said it's a family thing. I tried to explain to her domestic violence is against the law, is dangerous. There was a child involved in this domestic violence situation yesterday. But she believes that family members fighting family members physically is acceptable. She did say that she didn't have any contact information for dad. She didn't know the last time she saw him. She said that dad has not been involved in this child's life. And she believes it's been over a year since she has seen him. She said there's no affidavit of parentage and he's not on the birth certificate, but she did name him as the father. I think that's it.
And were there any concerns about whether she was nursing while using meth?
She denied breastfeeding. She said that the child's been on foods. She did say that she received breast milk from one of her friends who seemed like a support to her. She said she had not breastfed while under the influence, but maternal grandma did report she was breastfeeding while using.
And did once the child was in the department's care and custody, did you take the child to get like a physical checkup or anything like that?
I did. Maternal grandma had stated that this child has never seen a doctor besides when she was born. She doesn't have like a primary care physician. She's never had any immunizations. And then when maternal grandma had reported that the breastfeeding while possibly using methamphetamines, I spoke to my supervisor and we decided that we should have her have a checkup. I took her to Hickman Hospital here in Adrian. They attempted to do a urine screen on her. Due to her age, it was like a bag that they stuck in her diaper and kind of taped to her skin. And the hope was that the urine would go into the bag. The urine ended up just soaking into the diaper. So they didn't do any other tests. The doctor didn't have concerns, like no obvious signs of withdrawal for this child. She did nod her head a few times, but the doctor said that could be normal child behavior at this age. I think my only concern would be she's kind of lethargic throughout the day. I was with the child from 11:30 a.m. until about 8:30, 8:45 p.m. And she did take a few naps. She knows how to feed herself. Her motor skills are pretty developed, but her like facial expressions, her eyes are kind of like she looks tired all the time. And the doctor did say she felt like she looked tired, but there wasn't anything like medically diagnosed yesterday or any other tests ran. They advised that placement should follow up with a primary care doctor and just continue having follow-up checkups.
The drug screens that the department, those are mouth swabs, correct?
Correct.
Is that something that could be done for the child just to ensure there's no additional needs for other medical treatment?
I've never drug screened a baby with our drug screens, but I can call the lab that does them and ask if they run those on children. And I think that we'd have to have a consent from, well, the child's placed in our care. So I guess if we consented to a drug screen for the child, I think we could.
I'm just wondering if it would be helpful for the child's future care since the child doesn't have any established medical record. Okay. In this, in the CPS stuff, there are more, it looks like Miss Walden has other children. Is that correct?
Correct.
Where are they located?
They're with their biological father in Alabama.
Were you able to contact him to at all just check on their well-being?
Not in the last 24 hours, but I had an investigation in February where I did speak to him about where he was living and the care of his other children. He did verify their well-being then. I do plan to still contact him during this current investigation too.
And to the best of your knowledge, does he have a custody order? So they're protected?
Kayla reported that they do have front of the court involvement through Lenawee. She had stated to me last night that he wasn't supposed to leave the state with the children. But to my understanding, from when I talked to him a couple months ago, she had moved with him down to Alabama with the children. But she said that the front of the court order says he's not to leave state with the children.
Okay. Anything else you think the court needs to know today?
No, I think I provided everything.
Thank you. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions for factual basis.
Questions, counselors?
Just one.
Go ahead.
Did you ask my client if the child had been immunized?
Yeah, we had a lengthy discussion about immunizations last night.
Her answer?
She said absolutely not. She said she's absolutely against immunizations. She said that she would like her preferences about vaccinations to be considered throughout this case. She doesn't want her child immunized. And she educated me a lot on her research that she's done regarding immunizations.
You're not telling the court that the law mandates that the child has to be immunized, are you?
Can you repeat that?
You're not telling us today that the law says the child has to be immunized. You're not saying that, correct?
I don't know the law of if the child needs to be immunized or if who has decisions over that throughout this case.
Well, that's kind of why I'm asking, because you indicate that you want the child to be immunized, but you don't know. But I'm also asking, does the child have to be immunized? It appears though you don't know that answer, correct?
Oh, I don't have any opinion as to whether or not this child is immunized. I do want her to have routine medical care.
Okay.
I don't think that immunizations are needed if that is against a parent's preferences.
You answered my question.
Okay.
Nothing further.
Ms. Burke?
Nothing further.
All right. Thank you for your testimony. You may return your seat. All right, are you satisfied with the advice of rights and the factual basis of the plea, Ms. Thomas?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, what was that one?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. McFarland?
I am, but I do have an equal question of the worker regarding father, if I could just ask. Since you had an opportunity to speak to father, did you ask him the equal question about Native American heritage?
No, we only communicated through text message. We didn't speak on the phone.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Very good. The court is satisfied that the plea is knowingly, voluntarily, and understandably made with a full understanding of the consequences. I further find that the record supports that one or more of the statutory grounds alleged in the petition are true based on the testimony of Ms. Kelly. Her investigation revealed substance use in the home of the child, domestic violence in the home of the child, criminality, homelessness, and a number of things that create an environment that is an unfit place for the child to live currently. I also find that it's a violation where this parent neglected or refused to provide proper or necessary support, medical care, or other necessary care for this child's health or morals, and subjected this child to a substantial risk of harm to the mental well-being of the child, as well as the physical well-being as a result of that drug use and those other things that are happening in the home. So the court is taking jurisdiction of the mother and the child at this point. I will set a putative father hearing to be conducted with the initial disposition. I'll ask the department to ask the putative father if he has any Native American heritage and if he'd like to submit to DNA testing. The order will continue to directed to continue to try to serve him personally with the petition summons. If need be, if you can't get him served, then you're going to want to seek that alternative service order for publication.
So, Your Honor, can I speak to the putative father about an affidavit of parentage too, if he doesn't want to go through DNA?
That's also what I was going to ask you to do. Child's born out of state, right? Tupelo, I think you said it.
Yes.
So if there has been a recognition of parentage, legal parentage in the state where the child was born, then our state has to recognize that. So extra homework assignments, all right.
No, that's okay. The department is searching vital records like today for any birth records. Mom had stated that he didn't sign an AOP. If there is an AOP in another state, though, we don't have to file one in the state of Michigan, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
But I just need a copy of it.
Okay.
If it's up. All right, I think that's it. I've got a potential initial disposition date for everyone. Ms. Berger, I think your schedule is probably the one we've got to worry about the most. July 1st at 3.
Works for me.
Okay, very good. So we'll have the initial disposition as it relates to Ms. Walden, as well as the putative father hearing on July 1st at 3:00 p.m. In the meantime, Ms. Walden, you can look forward to a caseworker reaching out to you to talk with you about services and a case services plan that will be the subject of our court hearing at the disposition. That's to get you started on some of those services that you need in order to try to work towards reunification with your child. Unless there's any questions, I think that's it for today.
For an off record, could the court get my client's email address for
Yes.
service? Thank you.
Also, we do need to address placements. I do think that where the child is concerned that we've had enough testimony, but is there anything else you'd like to present on that piece, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, and I still have not received final word, wait, I'm so sorry. Okay, we do not need a court order for placement. We were able to override that concern that Ms. Kelly testified to. And as it relates to parenting time, at this time, I think that we are going to ask the court to suspend parenting time, given the nature of how this child came into care, pending demonstration of sobriety and some stabilization for mother. And then we would ask for it to be supervised, but until at least initial disposition, if we could ask that it be suspended in the event mom is released.
Your Honor, my position on that is mom can be drug tested. Visits can be supervised. If the goal is reunification, starting off suspending her parenting time is not going forward in that goal of reunification. So I don't think right now that there's been an overriding risk of harm that can't be addressed in the manner that I've mentioned, Your Honor.
Your position on placement,
My client does support placement with her father.
Ms. Berger?
Your Honor, I am in agreement with placement with with maternal grandfather. I would ask for, I think, a direct placement. They are relative placement. I have no concerns with the former criminal history. I'm hoping that there's some sort of waiver or expungement that we can look into while the case is open. In addition, I think that while mom is incarcerated, it is appropriate to keep parenting time suspended. However, if she's released and we can appropriately safeguard the child, then I think that supervised visits by the agency would be appropriate.
I would agree with Ms. Berger. I think supervised visits by the agency at the department would be appropriate. I won't require my usual 3 times a week. We'll just allow you to do the minimum if she's released. I'm not going to require visits while she's in the jail. I don't think our jail accommodates those. You can double check on that if you don't mind, Ms. Kelly. But also the age of the child is really, she's too young to really be able to benefit, I think, from a Zoom visit with mom from the jail. But we'll look for you to give us any additional updates on that at the initial disposition as well. Placement is necessary and appropriate and is meeting the child's needs with the maternal grandparents. I will note in the order that the child is placed with Mr. Nathan Walden at this time, pending disposition under the supervision of the Department of Health and Human Services. That is the safest and least restrictive. Mr. Matthews arguably did have actual notice. He may not have the notice that's satisfactory for the statute, but he definitely had an idea that this was happening. and that his child needed a place to stay. And he's not here today asking for it or moving to make any kind of provisions for that. So he cannot even be considered for placement. That's clearly a substantial risk. Ms. Walden appears to us today from the Holiday County Jail, unable to take placement. The maternal grandmother, there was a litany of reasons why that particular placement is not appropriate for the child. It poses a lot of high risk. The history of drug use, indications of criminality, domestic violence, and drug use in the homes where she does stay. She does not have a permanent residence, and did indicate some, at least one or two indications of potential drug use, pressure to rapid speech, and of course, her observations of allowing the mother to breastfeed under the influence is concerning in and of itself for purposes of supervision. So for all those reasons, the child will remain in the relative placement pending disposition. Unless there's any other questions, that's all.
Judge, I just wanted to clarify that the department did override that concern that Ms. Kelly testified to. So placement with the department is totally fine. Placement will remain with the relatives.
That's
No
what
extra.
the order will indicate.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?